Welcome to the Boosted Volunteer Podcast. We share the stories of dedicated Booster Club volunteers and the tools and strategies they use to run successful booster clubs. We also have sought-out experts on fundraising, volunteer management, and running nonprofits to share best practices. Hosted by Robin Eisler and Evan Eisler, you won't want to miss these great episodes that will help you run your booster club like a champ.
Hi, and welcome to the Boosted Volunteer. I'm Robin Eisler, the founder of Booster Hub, and your host here on the Boosted Volunteer. We're going to be talking today to Becki Jacobs. She's the founder of Teen Mom Boutique, which is a digital template company that provides graphic designs for sports teams and also does marching bands. Becki was a former digital product designer and strategist in the corporate world and has a passion for youth sports programs. She worked in HR technology, M&A operations, and then decided it was time to turn her skill set into something that would be valuable for the youth sports world. Her daughters were competitive cheerleaders, and she had been creating gift tags, fundraiser graphics, and materials for the team, and then also found Canva and found this great opportunity to provide Canva editable templates that she could sell and has been selling them on Etsy and now in her own store in Teen Mom Boutique. I know a lot of our programs struggle with their graphics and social media designs, so Becki's product is a great resource at Teen Mom Boutique. Becki, we're excited to have you and learn more about it.
Thanks for having me, Robin. Happy to be here.
Well, tell us how you got started with Teen Mom Boutique. Were you a teen mom, and what problem were you trying to solve?
So yes, I was a teen mom, and I found myself creating tags, and we'd give out little presents to our cheerleaders. Both of my daughters did competitive cheer, and I found myself creating designs and name tags. And so I kind of saw a need for people to have for sports, and particularly at that time for cheer, to have templates. And so I loved Canva, so I started creating them and putting them in Canva and then listed them on Etsy, and kind of all went from there.
I love it. So many things happen, particularly I find in the youth sports and youth activities world. It's usually a mom or a dad who saw a problem and thought, oh, I can improve this. I can make it better. But there's a great demand for graphics from sports teams, booster clubs. You have to present yourself as a super professional organization as a volunteer, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And the more professional your organization looks, the more it can help with recruitment of athletes and getting sponsors. And the big thing for me too, having had two daughters in sports, is just it's great for the athletes to see themselves in cool graphics. And that's kind of the fun of it for me. And if you look at my templates, that's kind of where I focus now, is making the athletes look really sharp and cool edits.
In our volleyball program, one of the things that we did is we had life-size cutouts of the players on the wall. And the players would literally a year in advance plan the pose that they were going to
That's important
on the wall. And then at the end of the year, we'd bring them all down. Technically, they went in the trash, but the players would find them and get to take home their life-size portraits themselves. So it
makes them proud. So that's
make them proud. What was your moment where these parents who have never thought of themselves as designers, and all of a sudden they're designing sports team graphics or marching band or whatever, and now they're in this social media mode, and it feels like you had an aha moment and said, hey, I can fix that. So what was that moment?
I guess one of the biggest things that I saw is like some of the graphics that I would see just were like, wow, I think they need some help maybe from someone like me. And it's mostly like using good photos or using consistent colors. And I guess my designer, I kind of saw some of that, and I was kind of like, oh, I think people need help creating cool graphics. Like they obviously are trying to, but it's not as easy as it seems. And I think sometimes you start down the path of creating a template from scratch, and I'm like, okay, this isn't what I was thinking it would look like. So that was kind of the aha moment, I guess, for me, is just seeing people struggle a little bit with creating, and even myself, creating graphics and having to start from scratch every time. So I think that was kind of my big aha moment.
your bundles, your packages are built on Canva.
Mhm.
I'm a big fan of Canva. I love it. I recommend it to, I think anybody running a nonprofit should have a Canva account.
Yeah, absolutely. Mine are all based on the free, but the pro account, especially if you're going to be using it a lot, is definitely, it's worth it. You don't have to, but you can do a lot if you're going to be the main person.
And just give us some insight. I know a lot of people I'm a Canva user, so I kind of know the answer to this question,
Mhm.
but most graphics have to be done in something like Photoshop that
Yeah.
just, your average user
Yeah.
can't figure out. But Canva is just
Yeah.
really simple.
Yeah, and to me, like Photoshop is a tool, and so is Canva, but Canva is also like a system. So you can collaborate with, I have a lot of coaches that will say, hey, I've got 2 kids on my team that want to help edit. Is that possible? And you can do that easily in Canva. And it makes editing and collaboration really easy as well. And now you can post to social media right from Canva. So I chose Canva because I get asked a lot, oh, you have your templates in Photoshop? And I have to say no. And it was a decision because I talked to my daughter who does graphic design a lot about it. I'm like, oh, I get all these questions to do Photoshop. And she's like, no, stick with Canva. It's easy because I do a lot of support too. Like I get a lot of questions. So it's just a lot easier for people and it makes it more accessible to people that aren't designers and that just want a good system and reusable system every year. So that's, I think, the key with Canva. You can edit fast. It works on mobile. I mean, so many people do their editing in mobile, which sometimes makes me a little bit nervous because it's not, anything on mobile is a little bit harder, but you can absolutely edit on mobile and post right to Instagram or Facebook or X from there. Collaborate. It's cost effective. It's a lot.
I have a couple places where I won't use mobile version, and Canva's one of them. I won't do it.
I wouldn't if people were all like, I do it only because I know people are editing in there. Otherwise, I would, first I was like, don't do it. But so many people are, I'm like, well, I better figure out how to edit in Canva. But I totally agree with you.
So you sell a bundle or you buy a package of designs. Walk us through what they get when they purchase a bundle, what kind of graphics and how customizable are they?
Yeah. So I have the big bundles, which is probably my biggest seller. They're like 78 templates, and I design them to take you through the beginning of the season when people are registering and you're kind of recruiting people to register for whatever your activity is, all the way through the end of the season when you've got your MVPs and you're really spotlighting your athletes, and even when you've got athletes going off to college committing. So it kind of is end to end of the whole year. We've got rosters, we've got player spotlights, lots of game day templates. We've got sponsor thank yous. So those are my big bundles. And those are designed to really help teams, coaches get through the year, elevate their social media feed. And then I've got some templates that are social media. They're a little more what I call like premium, where they're the kind of the cool, fun designs that you see on pro sports or college sports feeds. So I sell both, but the big one is that the big bundle that takes someone from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. I think those, when people are really looking for help with their social media, that's the one that I usually point them to. And that also comes along with a strategy, a playbook, because it's not just about posting and looking cool in templates. There's some strategy to when to post, what to post. And it's not just templates. It's, you want to be posting videos and information. So it's kind of the strategy along with that comes with that packet.
So you give that, and then you've also got a great blog that has a ton of information of frequency and consistency. And
Yes.
tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. The blog is really meant to like supplement the social or help coaches and through the season and volunteers through the season. The consistency piece, I like to say it's not just about posting every day. It's being reliable so people know when you're going to post, kind of what you're going to post. And to me, consistency too is your branding, because you want sponsors, for instance, to look at your organization and know like that you've got a consistent messaging, that if they're going to sponsor you, they're going to be part of that. So to me, that's kind of like the consistency piece. Just, you don't necessarily need to be spamming or doing it every day, but be thoughtful and have some branding, have your logo ready to be part of it. So yeah, I think that's the big piece with being consistent. And
If you were just sharing like with a booster club, let's say, and you should post 3 times a week, what would you recommend that they post?
There's three things that I would say, and it's kind of like a communications thing because I have a background in communications as well from my corporate career. So I'm always thinking, what do we want to tell the people that we're our audience? So I think the big thing is what's coming up next. So what's your weekly schedule? Upcoming games, you want to get people to the games and the event. So that's a lot of what you'll find in my templates. We want to recognize people, whether it's players, you want your seniors. I think it's important to shout out your coaches too, because not only do they deserve that, people want to know who's coaching their children if they're looking at your program, or sponsors want to know who's running the programs. And then also your volunteers. We want to be appreciating volunteers. So recognition is one of the other big things. And then what are the outcomes from that? What's the final score from the game? Thanking your fans, or a weekend wrap up from the week. So that's kind of my progression of the things that I would say. If you're going to do 3 things, do those 3 things.
So your templates usually a lot of them revolve around the pictures of the athletes. So the original professional photos really play a role in this. What's your recommendation there? You talk about 8 poses every athlete needs, something like that. So share your thoughts there.
So my thing, I'm a photographer. That's another part of my background. So I'm
all covered.
yeah. So the photograph piece, honestly, is almost as important as the template itself, because you could have a really good template and a poor photo, and the template doesn't look great. So to me, the photo quality is just as important. And sometimes I find like people don't necessarily plan that out. But again, the photos are only as good as the templates. So maybe the biggest shift that I recommend to people is just being proactive instead of reactive with photos. So plan out a day where you can take different poses, and I kind of list out the poses. I have some good individual poses are always nice. I like poses with like a couple of players in them, kind of either celebrating or standing next to each other, shoulder to shoulder, and then some good action shots. And you want your photos to be clear. If you're getting a good action shot, you want a good head to toe photo of the player. If you look at mine on my templates, a lot of them, they've got their feet, they've got their head, there's nothing obstructing them, and those make good photos. So my biggest thing is to say, maybe plan it out, or have one person on your team maybe you've got a photographer on your team and you didn't know it, or somebody that just wants to take the photos and has a good DSLR camera, and have that person be your photographer. Set up a Google Drive where everybody can submit photos, and maybe give them some ideas, because you may get people submitting photos that you're like, I can't use that. It's blurry. Their elbows cropped off. So give them some guidance on what makes a good photo. And you'd probably be surprised how many parents will follow your guidelines and submit some really great shots.
You talked a little bit about sponsorships, and I think this is so important. I mean, people just don't realize what you're putting out on your public pages really drives your sponsorship dollars like in the next year, because they're looking back. How can a group improve their presence so that their sponsors will take notice and hopefully dollars into the program?
So I think sponsors want, obviously, visibility, and they want to know that you're a legitimate, serious organization. So I think having a strong, consistent social media feed is kind of proof that you're a program that's organized and professional. So I think having one of the things that you'll see in my templates is I'll also shout out the sponsors. Like in a game day template, we'll have the sponsors at the bottom. So making sure that you include them throughout the season, do some shout outs in the templates, but also in just regular posts as well. That having the sponsorship benefits, you can do monthly sponsored spotlights, the game day presented by, like I just said, and then make sure at the end of the season, you're thanking your sponsors so they don't feel like it's just sponsorship is their name on the back of a shirt or on a banner. It's throughout the season, and it's thoughtful.
Yeah, it's so important, because when they agree to put their brand with yours, showing that you've got a professional presence, that you've got good-looking graphics just catch people's eye.
Yeah. And they're going to want to be on those graphics. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, for college recruiters, does it make a difference for that when you're putting your athletes, showcasing them in that way with good looking graphics? And does that have an impact?
So the thing with recruiting, and I've kind of recently gotten into this space because I saw a need for graphics in this space, is that It's not necessarily the main channel, but it's part of it. So the graphics may not get you recruited. There's lots of other things too, but it's part of that. So having a consistent and well planned and executed social media presence is very important. And you want to showcase as an athlete, not just your wins. What do you do in the community? How do you keep yourself fit? What are your teammates doing as well? How do you play within the team? So it's very important. I think it's not just, like I said, it's not necessarily the way you'll get recruited, but I think having that presence on social media helps you stand out amongst thousands of other athletes that are also trying to get recruited. So I do think it's very important to post in that same consistency. And I think having nice graphics absolutely will elevate you amongst the crowd. So, and I think that's the same for the sports. It's like the athletes should have the social profiles, but also that's why it's important for these clubs if you want to help your athletes get elevated, to highlight them, showcase your team, events that you do, and your spotlight of your athletes is important too in that whole process.
One of the things we find a lot in the booster clubs is the person that's been handling the social media or the graphics, their child graduates out and
Yep.
now you're starting
Yeah.
over from scratch and a new person's taking over. How do your templates help with that transition, make it easier, keep the branding in, that sort of thing?
Yeah. Well, again, I think that's one of the big benefits of Canva is that you could either share the link or you could actually share where you've been editing with the new person, and then they can come on and pick up where either you left off, or they can use the assets that you've used and get some new templates, and all the branding is in Canva. So I think that's really important. And I think there's Canva, but there's also, I use Google Drive a lot, but to have everything in like a shared folder is also part of that handoff. But you can do a lot of that in Canva. There's the brand kit, and it just makes it so much easier, because I have had people reach out to me with that exact problem where somebody else was managing it last year and now they're like, oh my gosh, what do? We need all new templates. And I'm like, no, not necessarily. You can reuse what they had been using. So that's, again, one of the other big benefits of using Canva versus Photoshop. It's a lot easier to do that. And then it's a lot easier for that next person to learn the tool as well.
We do Spiritwear and Booster Hub, and a lot of our programs just have trouble getting the logo, the official logo, in a good enough quality to use in a graphic or printing. So I do sometimes whole sessions on, here's where you need to start with your logo, here's the quality it needs to be, and protect this and put it somewhere that everyone can find it.
Yeah. You'd be surprised how many people don't. Well, maybe you wouldn't, but it's surprising how many people don't have their logos. And it is important to have a good, like almost as important as the picture, to have a good,
logo. Yeah, absolutely. If somebody's listening right now and they're like, oh my gosh, I just got this in my lap, I don't have anything to do, what's the first step that they should do from here?
I would say go back to the 3 things that I would say to post, and maybe start with a posting rhythm. Get used to posting. Some people haven't posted ever on IG or Facebook. So just get used to doing some postings. Maybe start with a schedule at the beginning of the season or some registration updates, and then kind of go from there. I also say our athletes are because sometimes I'll have parents come to me and say, I don't know the first thing. And I'm always like, we should bring your kids in to help, because they know a lot about posting on social media. My daughter helps me all the time, or gives me feedback on, yes, this is great. No, that's really cringy. So pull the kids in to help. And a lot of times maybe it's your responsibility to own it, but they can give you feedback or get them involved as well. But I would say start with the basics, schedules, some game day posts, some final scores, and then go from there and get creative. Add some video, get some behind the scenes, kind of ease into it, I guess would be my thing. But start with an easy rhythm of posting.
One of the things I'm seeing a trend towards is for social media going back towards more organic. I think people are starting to push away from the AI stuff. They can easily tell. So just a simple clip that's just 20 seconds of kids is catching people's eye.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, I sell the templates, but they should absolutely, your feed shouldn't just be templates. It should be almost more of the organic, videos of practices. And that's what people they want to see in video is very important, but organic for sure.
Well, I always like to wrap up our episodes and ask, what sports or activities did you do in school and how those impact your life?
So I grew up playing sports. I had 2 brothers. We ended up playing sports in the backyard, and they definitely shaped who I am and kind of where I am today. I played actually on boys teams when I was little. I played on boys hockey teams and baseball when I was real young. And then I eventually played in high school. I played soccer and I was a cheerleader. So I kind of did both sides of the sporting world. And then I didn't play in college at that point. I played so many sports. I just wanted to go to college. But I was definitely involved with sports. And I would say kind of gave me that competitive, always how do I improve type mindset, which was kind of your question made me think that's kind of how I run my business on how I was in my corporate world. Like, how can I make this better or easier for me or for people using things? So I'm kind of always thinking like, what would make this easier for somebody using this template? So I would say kind of that's how maybe sports have shaped my thoughts. And then my girls they were both competitive cheerleaders. So that's kind of what kept me in the game.
That's
Very serious. Yes.
We did competitive cheerleading for one season, and my daughter was about 7, and then she decided to do other things. And I have to admit, after spending a day in a hall with competitions,
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't sad about that. I wasn't sad to go back outside.
I know. I'm like, well, I miss it, but I enjoy the time that I have back and the money that I have back. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I've got to circle back. Wait, you played boys hockey?
I did. Yep. I was a mite, and then I think I played until the end of the Pee-wee season. So like right before I think in middle school, I stopped because the boys just got so much bigger than me. So I had to stop for my safety. But yeah, like my brothers played and my dad coached. So I was like, I want to play. And there weren't girls teams back then. So I played on the boys teams.
I love that.
I was one of the first. Yep.
Well, Becki, thank you so much for joining us today. Can you tell us where we can find you we'll put the links down below as well, but just
my website is www.teammomboutique.com. And then I am on Facebook. It's Team Mom Boutique on Facebook and IG. And I do have a TikTok. It's not quite as big, but you can find me on all three.
Awesome. We'll put those links down below in the notes and get our listeners to reach out to you. Well, thank you for what you do and for providing that service for all these parents and coaches to highlight the athletes. It's definitely something that's in great need right now in the industry.
Well, happy to be of service to people that need templates and graphics.
Well, good luck to you, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you again in the future.
Sounds good. Thanks, Robin.
Thanks, Becki.
The Boosted Volunteer is brought to you by Booster Hub. To find out more about Booster Hub and how our app can help you improve communications, increase engagement, raise more money, and manage your booster club responsibly, visit www.boosterhub.com. And then make sure to search for Booster Club Podcast in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Make sure to click subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. On behalf of the team here at Booster Hub, thanks for listening.